Hi. Thanks for joining me for this edition of our LongHaulPartner.com video blog series. This edition is entitled Recognize Potential Load Profit Before You Commit. Now, most of us, at least occasionally, wish we had a crystal ball and could predict the future, or, even better, control the future. But we also realize that that shiny little ball might take all the fun and adventure out of our lives. Who wants that? We love uncertainty and adventure, don't we? Don't we? Nah, didn't think so. Uncertainty sucks. Now, I have no magic answer or potion equaling the mighty crystal ball, but the runner-up just might be our thinking cap. We all have one of those. It's just a matter of choosing to use it, and the issue here, of course, is effort, which thinking requires. When you're running and driving your tail off 90 plus hours a week to legally log 70, effort and hours are at a premium, maybe even priceless. The trick here is to minimize thinking time and effort while maximizing potential revenue gains. If we could accurately assess our cost of doing business per mile, per hour, and so on, and could then compare potential load profitability of different loads before committing to one, we might just have something comparable to our mythical crystal ball. Okay, how do we accomplish that? Well, first of all, it's necessary, imperative, and critical. Did I make that point? It's necessary, imperative, and critical that as an owner-operator, your weekly fixed costs and operational variable costs be clearly identified. There's no way to determine potential load profitability if operating expenses are unknowns. Contrary to urban myth, the seat of our pants does not think, and napkins are for wiping egg off our face, not for business planning. Now, you can identify your weekly expenses in any number of ways. OIDA, for example, the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, has a cost per mile worksheet. It's available for free on their website, at least it was last I checked. It's a little Excel thing. It works really great. It'll get you started. You can download it and use it. You could make your own worksheet longhand if you're not computer literate. You could use Excel or some other software. Maybe you could obtain an expense worksheet from your bookkeeper or your accountant. It doesn't really matter. Now, I'm a little biased as the editor of LongHaulPartner.com, so of course I would suggest subscribing to LongHaulPartner.com. $9.95 a month is all it'll cost, and use your LHP 00 weekly expense sheet and save that in your own private database. At any rate, it doesn't matter. The point is, this has to be done by anyone taking their business seriously. Flying by the seat of our pants and employing the ubiquitous napkin, don't cut it anymore. Now, if you're relatively new to running your own trucking business, or if you've been around a while, just as a check, you could refer to LHP's sample calculators page. That's at LongHaulPartner.com, and take a look at our PDF sample called 00 Weekly Expense 2014, and there's another one called Take It or Leave It, which I'll get to in a minute, and you can use these as guides. Now, these samples contain some pretty good national averages for various owner-operator expenses, insurances and different things. They'll get you started. They're free for anybody. You can download them, copy them, look at them, play with them, whatever. They're there for your use. And again, they're free. It doesn't matter how you accurately tabulate your expenses. But like the Nike commercial says, just do it. Now, the second step to recognizing potential load profitability before committing is to analyze the trip itself. You should do that anyway, right? You ought to be considering the economic and financial aspects of the trip as part of your trip planning before you accept the load anyway. And if it's appropriate, compare one trip to others that you might consider. Now, how would we do this? Well, again, devise any sensible method that works for you and start using it and perfecting it. You're not probably, if you're not used to it, you're not going to get it right on the first time. I've been developing some of these calculators at Long Haul Partner now for nearly 4 years. It takes a while to get them, to get a system that works for you depending on how you think. Now, again, to demonstrate my bias, you could subscribe to www.LongHaulPartner.com for $9.95 a month, and you could use our Take It or Leave It calculator and your private database. That calculator will compare up to 4 loads side by side very quickly, very easily. Now, whether you use LHP's Take It or Leave It or you do it some other way, items that you ought to consider would be things like trip miles, both paid and practical. Some folks call the practical miles short miles, because they usually are. You want to look at loaded gross vehicle weight, the line haul rate, fuel surcharge, the average driving speed that you think you're going to maintain on the trip, the terrain you're going to be driving through. Is it mountainous, hilly, flat, or dead time until the load can be picked up? Can you pick up the load in 2 hours, or do you have to wait till 4 o'clock tomorrow? Waiting costs you money. Now, the Take It or Leave It calculator that I mentioned will adjust your fuel usage and your operating cost for load weight, average driving speed, and the terrain you're driving through for each of the loads you're considering. For example, a heavier load means more fuel. Driving faster once you're above 55 miles an hour means more fuel. Steep grades as opposed to flat farmland, more fuel. All right, you get the idea. So what do we want to compare between these different loads? Well, as an example of comparison items, again, the Take It or Leave It calculator compares the following items for each of up to 4 loads. I'm going to have to read these. Your net estimated before tax earnings. That's the total dollars you're going to make after all expenses. Your net revenue earned per trip day. Your net rate earned per driving hour. Net rate earned per waiting and total trip hours. Net rate earned per driven mile. And net return on trip investment, your ROI. And of course, all of these items are before tax nets. That's a pretty thorough comparison if you go through all of that. And of course, Take It or Leave It will do that for you. Now, the sorts of things that you may wish to compare will differ depending on your manner of thinking about your business. Some of us think in terms of expenses and revenue and per mile, some per hour, per day, week, month. It doesn't matter. We're all different. It does matter that we're paying attention to our business and that we're getting these things done. It pays more dollars and cents to analyze before taking the load rather than after it's hauled. Like the Boy Scout motto says, be prepared. Or, as LHP likes to say, make more money. Hey, thanks for listening. Have a great day.